Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's live, recorded first of all in my Facebook groups. Thank you if you're watching this live tonight, and also found in my YouTube channel and as a podcast on my website. So I'm recording this on what's the date today? 21st of November, rapidly hurtling towards Christmas and that silly season of going out, socializing, catching up with friends, family, business, work, drinks and events. And before you know it, you're just rushing around, socializing, parties, dinner parties, and feeling like all your good habits that you've been trying to create all year and you've been doing really, really well. It almost gets to the point where you feel like you just want to give up because you sort of feel that as soon as you get to January, you're going to have to start all over again. You're going to have to go on a diet. You're going to have to gain loads of weight. You're going to feel really sluggish and lethargic. But I want to show you that it doesn't have to be this way. Now, I'm not saying that you will start January the exact weight that you are, say, today. You may gain a couple of pounds here or there, but it shouldn't be anything significant. It doesn't mean everything needs to go to pot. So I thought I'd share with you the approaches that I take generally, eating out all year round and going out, but trying to be a little bit more mindful at this time of year. I counted up that from the start of December and those first 3 weeks of December, I think I have 8 engagements going out, whether it's family, friends, business events. There's lots of things going on. You know, I've got a Friday, Saturday, Sunday when I'm out every single day eating. But I don't worry about it. I should look forward to it. I'm more worried about being a little bit tired from going out so much, but not so much from what I'm eating. So let me start with dinner parties, going to pubs and restaurants, going to drinks parties, and how to go about choosing things off the menu, or if you don't have an actual choice, then how to manage those situations. So if you go to a dinner party, you'll find that your food has been chosen for you. Of course, I'm sure your host will have asked you if you've got any particular dislikes, things you don't eat, and if you're vegetarian, you'd have said that. But generally, you're not going to have any more. You can't keep saying, well, I don't have that, I don't have that. You know, it's very gracious. Your hosts are, you know, lovely to be inviting you around. So how do you choose your food without going completely off plan? So first of all, I'd say don't starve yourself all day. This applies to any situation where you're going out at night. Don't starve yourself all day because you just arrive really hungry and you're more likely to dive into the pre-dinner nibbles of peanuts and crisps that may be served up with drinks. So that's really fatal. You should try and eat as normal as possible. You may have a slightly smaller portion, but don't start skipping meals thinking you're going to benefit, because you really, really won't. So first of all, on a meal out, try and avoid the bread. You know, that roll and butter, if you're going for a do that's at a hotel, try and avoid that. And certainly, you know, with friends, if it's a 3-course meal, they might add some bread to the table. Just try and avoid the bread. It's a starchy carbohydrate. It quickly becomes sugar. The sugar can lead to blood sugar imbalances. Some of the sugar can get converted to fat. The sugars can leave you, you know, excess highs and lows can leave you feeling really sluggish and tired. So bread, try and avoid it. Try and eat more slowly. You know, this always applies. This is very important for digestion, to make sure you're chewing your food well so that you've got the optimal release of your digestive secretions. But really, what I'm thinking about here is eating a little bit more slowly gives your brain a chance to recognize that you are full. We tend to eat too quickly, and the brain doesn't have a chance to catch up with the fact that the stomach is saying it's had enough to eat and it's already full. And then you get this overeating sensation. Try and eat that little bit more slowly, enjoying each mouthful, chewing food really well, so that you've got a chance of that signal to travel from the sensors in your stomach to the brain, back to your mouth, to stop you eating too much. Now, if you can serve yourself, if there's bowls of food that's on the table, try and focus more on your non-starchy vegetables. And what I mean by that is mostly focus on the above ground vegetables. The ones that are grown above the ground rather than the root vegetables are less starchy, other than carrots, which is a root vegetable, not particularly starchy. So potatoes and parsnips and swede and beetroot, turnips, not many people say turnips, but those things are really starchy. So focus less on those and put lots more of your vegetables on your plate. So there's filling your plate up with more than of that. And be really careful of the starchy ones. So I'm talking here about the rice, the pastas, the potatoes, anything that's served up in pastry, because again, a lot of starch, a lot of sugar, and a lot of that excess sugar will end up being converted to fat and leaving you feeling tired and lethargic. Now, when it comes to puddings, I try and practice that Pareto rule, which stands for 80-20, although I try and practice more of a 90-10, which means that 80 or 90% of the time, I'm trying to eat and follow the normal principles that I do, but the other really 10% of the time is less important. So if there's a pudding there, you know, I do have a sweet tooth. It's very rare I'm invited around to somebody's house and I avoid eating pudding. So I will try and have a very small portion and try and eat it really slowly so it feels like I'm eating a bigger portion and just really, really enjoy it. And the same goes with chocolates that get served up after a meal. I love chocolate, so I will have a couple. I don't deprive myself, but I'll have maybe two if there's a box of chocolates. Again, you know, just try and eat them really, really slowly. And if there's cheese and biscuits, it's the biscuits, that starch, that's more problematic rather than the cheese. Cut yourself a little bit of cheese if you want it. It's not so much the fat that's a problem. Fats don't make us fat. It's the starches and the sugars that we need to be careful of. So hopefully I've got you through that dinner party. And when you wake up the next day, if you're feeling a little bit full, you may feel like you've got to starve yourself. I wouldn't take that approach. Very quickly, I try and revert back to eating my 3 normal meals of the day. However, if you feel like you've really overeaten, you may want to practice time restricted eating. You may want to skip breakfast and have like a sort of close to like 14, even a 16-hour gap since you last ate, or at least get to lunchtime before you have that first meal. But only do this if you can then have a really good lunch, balanced meal, get the protein in your diet, get some vegetables or salad in, and then wait until dinner. Because if you can't get from lunch until dinner because you're hungry again and you end up snacking a lot, that is really detrimental. So you're better off having a really small breakfast and your lunch and dinner, and just your body very, very quickly goes back into its normal routine and pattern. If you do wake up feeling hungry, have a little reflection on what you had the night before. You know, did you eat enough protein and fats with that meal, or did you really pile on the potatoes? Eat too much pudding, focus too much on the sugars, and that will really quickly go through the body and will leave you hungry. Remember, proteins and fats will leave you fuller and satiated for much, much longer. Now, if you're going out to eat in pubs and restaurants, what do you choose off the menu? Following the trends of what I've just spoken about, when I go through a menu, very quickly, I am taking things off the list of what I'm going to choose. I won't be choosing pies. I won't be choosing things that are pasta based. I don't choose dishes that are rice based like risotto. I am looking for meats and fish. Mostly when I'm eating out, I tend to choose fish. And I will try as much as possible not to have fish in breadcrumbs or in batter. I would rather have a nice piece of fish, because obviously the batter and the breadcrumbs are adding more of the starch to that meal. Sometimes I do have fish in the breadcrumbs or the batter, and I'll try and avoid eating too much of it and get most of the fish. So I'm very much striking off that dish that from the menu: pastas and risottos, pizzas, pies, and anything that comes with big plates of chips. In fact, I've been known to say to the waitresses, can I have less chips? And can I have more vegetables? Because invariably, I don't get nearly enough vegetables when I'm eating out. So what you can do in that situation is ask for an extra side portion of vegetables or salad. And if something comes with chips, I don't tend to go without because I like a few chips. What I will do is maybe share them with somebody else or ask them to be served separately. And so I just put a few on my plate. Again, just eat a few and eat them slowly. I worry less about sauces. It's more about the starches that I'm concerned about. But if you are concerned about sauces, ask for them to be served in a separate dish on the side. And just finally, I want to talk about drinks parties. Drinks parties with canapes. Now, canapes are a bit of a nightmare. Most canapes are really starchy. You know, you're thinking your sausage rolls, your toad in the hole on the, little things that you can pick up and hold will invariably be a lot of starch, like bread based or something like that. So they are problematic, very unhealthy, not great. And of course, if you were drinking more alcohol, the temptation is you're just going to want more of those sorts of canapes. So my trick here is to not go to your drinks party hungry. Have something to eat before you go. Something that's going to be really quick and easy to prepare, something like an omelette. An omelette's going to be that lovely protein, the good fats. It's going to keep you full for much longer. It's not fattening, but you're not going to arrive at that drinks party starving and just diving into those canapes. Yes, they might come round and every so often you'll have one, but you won't be so hungry that you're just going to eat loads of them, because that's where things go wrong. Or you might have a bowl of soup, something like a lentil soup. You could buy it in if you can't make it yourself. Something like a lentil soup, there's lentils, is going to give you the pulses. Just going back, actually thinking about lentil dishes, and I spoke about vegetarians. It's very difficult for vegetarians and vegans to eat out. If you go to a restaurant, it's often pasta and rice-based dishes, which is tricky. Wherever you can, if you're vegetarian and vegan, try and get something that's got those pulses and lentils, and that forms the basis of your dish, rather than relying on the pasta and the rice. So going back to the drinks party, you can then eat a few canapes, not go crazy on them, not undo all your good work whilst you're having a few tipples. I'm not going to talk any more about alcohol and alcohol choices. I'm going to leave that for another day to talk about that. But I just want to show you that with a little bit of thought and a little bit of planning, you can get through this busy, sociable period of the year and not feel like you're indulging on all the wrong things. We should be able to eat out. We should be able to enjoy ourselves eating out, but we shouldn't need to feel that we get to January and feel like you've got to start all over again. I will be talking more, for those listening more live, I will be talking more about something I'm going to run early January for you to get you back on track. But for now, let's focus on this enjoyable time of year. Enjoy spending time with friends and family, even those business dues, and have a really lovely time. I will be back in 2 weeks, and I'll focus more about healthy drink choices for this sociable time of year. Thank you so much for watching.